So there was one type of show from the 1980s that I was the most hesitant to watch. Every decade has its own thing. The 1990s has gross outs, the 1970s has a lot of Scooby-Doo ripoffs. The 1980s had a lot of overly saccharine schlock. Your get-along gangs, Care Bears, all of that shit. Basically, these shows came about because moral guardians didn't want to do the job of actually being a parent and wanted the television to do it for them. And I had a lot to go through, but I actually think that I found the worst of all of them. Let's start with the theme song.
You're not dreaming, it's a moon dreamers dreaming up dreams for me and you. You're not dreaming, it's a moon dreamers making your sweetest dreams come true.
Let's just say I wish I knew about this one before I made my top thing show in the... So, cartoons made with absolutely no effort specifically to sell a product are pretty bad. You've seen plenty of them on this list. We've established that fact by now. But here's the question. What do you do to one of these if you want to take it to the next level of bad? How do you make it the worst marketing push of the 1980s? You take your cartoon based on a product that shouldn't have a cartoon, and you make it a baby's cartoon. Because potatoes. They made a cartoon about Mr. Potato Head. No, they didn't make a cartoon about Mr. Potato Head. They made the cartoon about Mr. Potato Head's kids. I remember them selling my hearing. Hello, Hanna-Barbera. I couldn't imagine you being on this list. Again. Thankfully for the final time. And yes, this time, Hanna-Barbera really was the one who made this. Yeah, Mr. T had a cartoon. Do I sound excited? Well, I shouldn't, because, believe it or not, the Mr. T cartoon with none of the flavor. What the hell is this? I wouldn't blame you if you've never heard of this show before. I haven't, so you're probably going to need to bear with me. Camp Candy was a show that was produced by John Candy, and he voices a character named John Candy, who is the camp counselor in a Camp Candy. And in the vein of many other
Bozo, where's the fire?
and it being portrayed as A-okay for the kids to bring home a crazy old guy who they an angel, because Gary Coleman is actually dead in real life. Complaining about this shit don't have any kids, but that would be a little bit too hypocritical for them, right? The Pac-Man cartoon. Now, on to number 1. Now, usually when I do one of these lists, there's some competition for number 1. In the 90s list, from a watching standpoint, Mega Babies is clearly the worst. But when it comes to just the fact that this show exists, The Wacky World of Tex Avery was the worst. And this is a problem I have doing every single decade's list. It's going to be a problem in the 2010s as well. The only exception is the 1980s. When I watched my number 1 pick, I knew that it'd be my number 1 pick, and no other show came close to dethroning it. I present to you Kid Video, the worst cartoon of the 1980s. While the Nut Shack was just disgusting, and the Wacky World of Tex Avery was insulting, Kid Video is one of the most incoherent shows that I have ever seen. The premise is that some random